I'm Jeff Gould, America's Storyteller. Welcome to this version of I Like That Story. You know, they say that bad things happen to good people, happens all the time. We know that. And you say, what good can come from those bad things? As you may or may not know, I do funeral services for people. And a number of years ago, I did a funeral service for a little boy who had many, many, many medical problems. And the number of people who came to that funeral and the outpouring of love and grief was just, as you can imagine, astonishing. And then you walk away from those places and say, wow, what good could possibly come from this? You're about to find out, because I had a chance to catch up with Owen's father, Mike. Mike Turner has started something called Owen's Outfitters. Mike Turner has started something that not only stops waste going into the landfill, not only helps people who are impoverished or in any circle of life, giving them free medical equipment in a small community that he hopes to launch globally in all 50 states. It's extremely possible. It's very doable. And it's a remarkable story of redemption after loss. I hope you like it as much as I do. And that's why I like the story. It is a trite saying. I'm sure you've heard it. If life gives you lemons, what do? Well, in the case of our guest, he is, it's not an exaggeration. He's changed the world for many, many, many people. So I'll read his introduction, and we'll get into this amazing story of and not only is it an amazing story, it's an amazing story that saves money. Not only is it an amazing story that saves money, it's an amazing story that saves money, changes lives, and reduces pollution. Okay, let's get to the introduction and why I like that story. Mike Turner, the executive director of Owen's Outfitters, organization dedicated to building a medical equipment library and creating a network for individuals and families in need. What does that mean? They accept donations of gently used or unused medical items that families no longer need, from hospital beds to wheelchairs to all the disposable stuff, catheters, you name it. And these are then provided at no cost, free of charge, to anyone who wants them, regardless of income, insurance. There's no red tape. Just go pick it up. Driven by the belief that access to medical equipment should be never limited by financial circumstances, Mike and his team are making a meaningful impact. In this year alone, they're looking at $4.4 million worth of medical equipment to families in need in just 1 year, helping ensure that essential care is accessible to anyone. Am I wrong in any of that, Mike?
No, you've got it right.
Wow.
You've got it perfect.
You know, I'm looking at you on camera, and I thought that was a white background. I think it's just your halo that's just emanating. Yeah, it's a. So when we talked before this interview, you told me a statistic that I repeated to other people, and they said, nah, that can't be true. How much perfectly good medical stuff is thrown away in landfills each year?
So we're saving, like here in Sioux Falls, we've saved over 120 tons. But according to the CDC, we've thrown, like each year we throw away about 70 billion with a B into the landfill, just medical waste on a yearly basis.
Wait. First off, people are watching this all over the world. So in our little tiny little corner of the world, we're going to talk about that. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I'm wondering if what you're doing is duplicatable.
Absolutely.
Duplicable, whatever, repeatable. And I have been quoting $40 billion thrown away each year, and nobody believes that. And you say $70 billion.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
40 billion is on the low end, 70 billion is CDC. It was a college paperwork that I did. It was a big paper that I wrote for my marketing class when I was getting my master's. And so, they looked it up. They're like, holy cow, this is insane. They didn't believe it either.
What exactly is what in the world? What are we throwing away that's worth $70 billion?
I mean, basically almost all medical equipment. And so when you think about it, like go out into the marketplace and you can buy used board games, used cars, used furniture, used almost anything, right? But with medical equipment, we've decided that that entire market, we're just going to throw it away. So walkers, wheelchairs, commodes, hospital beds, ice machines, unused diabetic equipment, unused feeding supplies, all of that stuff that comes from the pharmacies, from the medical equipment facilities, hospitals, clinics, all of that stuff is typically just thrown away. I mean, you look at us in Sioux Falls and you can start to like figure out how that number makes sense. We're a town of just 200, maybe 300,000 people if you start talking about the surrounding area, and we're saving 4.4 million a year. You talk about the US isn't 10 times bigger or even 100 times bigger, it's 1,000 times bigger than Sioux Falls. And so, yeah, that starts getting you right in that neighborhood. And
Are you at the cutting edge of this? Are you just like, are there like, how many of these Owen Outfitters type places are there in the country?
yeah, from what we know, there's a handful of them. There's some ones in Denver, Albuquerque. We based ours off of a great group over in Milwaukee. And they're
But
all
it's
a little
small.
bit different.
It's small though. I mean,
Yeah.
you said a handful. The opportunity is enormous, and the people taking advantage of the opportunity, just a handful. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to talk about that because that's really interesting. Okay, I have a lot of questions that I give people. So we're going to get back into the Owens Outfitters and how it got started and everything else. But I like to warm people up, just kind of get to know them a little bit. And remember, unlike any other kind of interview show that I'm aware of, you get to turn the tables. At the end of this, you get to ask me a question. Now, it can only be one
Absolutely.
question, but it can be hard hitting, it can be scathing, you can try to trap me, right? You can do all those things. You get one question that you can get me at the end of the interview, but it's at the end of the interview and it's only one question. Got that?
Hmm.
All right. In the meantime, I sent you a bunch of questions, including the Jeopardy board.
Yeah.
The Jeopardy is a series of questions that we'll get it started with. What would be your selection today, Mike?
I like quite the character for 800.
Quite the character for 800. If you could have lunch with any fictional character, who would it be?
Like one thing that we talk about a lot with our kids and my wife and our friends is like, if you could be any superhero, what would it be? And my answer has always been sort of like a Tony Stark. His ability
Ye-
to, yeah. But he's rich and he invents everything. I feel like if he had lunch, he could just be like, "Hey, Mike, what do you need me to invent?" I'd be like, "I don't know. How about a cure for cancer? That would be great." And I feel like over lunch, Tony Stark could be like, "You know what? Let me just jot that out a little bit. Here you go." And then I would come back from lunch and be like, "Don't worry about it. Took care of cancer over lunch." That would be, that's the dream, right? That'd
that
be
would
kind of
be,
cool.
I love, actually, it depends. What I really love is a superhero movie with a great origin story. And Iron Man Tony Stark is just such a great origin story. And Robert, you talk about the power of a good actor. He, I think he is Tony Stark. And
Yeah.
I've heard that when he did, like he actually goes and visits hospitals as Tony Stark, and he sells it. I mean, those kids are like, "Holy cow! Tony Stark just came in, and he has some sort of device he gives them." I mean, that's a great answer.
Yeah, it would be fun to be able to not just have a conversation, but maybe bring something back from lunch. You'd be like, "Hey, Tony, you got like what, $100 trillion? Like just slide a little over the table. Let
You
us do
think
some
he'd
good
let
with
you?
it."
You think he'd let you use his suit?
I mean,
I mean, maybe over lunch. I mean, it all. You say, "Hey, you got your suit with you? Can you shoot me an extra?" I mean, we know he has these suits.
that's what I
Wouldn't
was
it be
thinking. An extra one would be okay. Getting in something maybe that snug fitting, I wouldn't want to share with someone else.
this? Well, you're not in it with him. You get your own suit.
Yeah.
What kind of crazy world are you living in? No,
No, no,
you
no. I
you
don't
get
even
your
want to use the one he uses. I want my
no,
own.
you get your own, and it
Yeah.
fits. And not only does it fit like a glove, it makes you look great. It's got slimming. It's very nice. It's very nice.
Yeah, because I love food and I could use something, just like tuck that in a little.
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it runs on your extra calories, right? That'd be a good thing. 4 hours in the flight suit, and you come out 40 pounds lighter. That'd be nice.
Again, great. Another good reason for lunch.
I love this. We should just keep going down this rabbit trail and not talk about other things. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
But what about
So
you? Well, I mean, come on. What would be your superhero?
now, wait a minute. Wait
Or is
a
that at the
minute.
end?
You get one question.
Okay, okay.
You're gonna, yeah, if you want to squander it, but we have to wait till the end. Write it down.
All right.
Write it down. Oh, I have to just sneak it in though.
Yeah.
It's Captain America, man.
That's a good one too.
His origin story is solid.
Yeah, also
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. He's such a good guy. He just whatever. I get it.
Yeah, go back and fight
Okay,
and
all
then,
right. So
save the world 100
so
times.
so a lot of people are watching this saying, well, these guys just get to the point and stop gossiping about superheroes. Okay, let's do that right now. Because I kind of think, what is a superhero? It's an ordinary person who sees something and then becomes more than they thought possible. And this starts in a strange way with a tragedy in your house. Talk about Owen.
Yeah. Owen was born with a chromosomal abnormality. Basically, like all of our DNA is a little bit different, but it all sort of follows the same plan, that it's what puts our eyes in the right place and the hair on the top of our heads, or, from my brother on his back. But with Owen, a couple of those were sort of like cut and paste this piece of DNA and put it in a different place, or just delete a little bit of it. And our DNA is such that, when you start rearranging it, start deleting it, it causes just a whole host of issues. And so, yeah.
So
Owen,
he struggled physically his whole life.
yeah, he had both physical and cognitive delays across the board. He needed a lot of medical equipment growing up. He needed a lot of physical therapy, occupational therapy. The teachers, the schools were fantastic, but they couldn't have done it without some of the equipment that he needed as well.
But he was also an imp. He was also a mischievous little rascal. I
Oh
mean, he
yeah,
wasn't just a sickly kid. He was just an imp. And, things where, he'd just give you a look in his eyes and he'd pull the feeding tube out, or, just do it to spite you, just to see what you do.
oh yeah.
Right.
My wife's favorite story is that we were at the Renaissance Festival, and we had this thing. Owen, like you said, he loved to get a hold of stuff, and he'd usually get a hold of a piece of medical equipment because he didn't want to be hooked up to all these tubes. He'd get it and he'd rifle it across the room. And so I always said that I was developing dad-like reflexes, that I was just super quick. And so we were at the Renaissance Festival. He's in this little wagon. He grabs this little piece of medical equipment. He throws it out of the wagon, and I snatch it out of the air. I grab that thing, and I look over at Elena, and I'm like, dad-like reflexes. And at that moment, Owen has this little cube that he loved playing with, and he gets that out of the wagon, and he just goes across, hits me across the bridge of the nose, and I for the rest of the day, I let this mark across the bridge of my nose. And my wife and kids and everyone else just thought it was hilarious because, there I am, I caught it. I'm feeling good. And he is immediately like, nah, put that on hold, old man. So yeah, we always said he was a butt, but he was our butt. We loved him. He was great. Big personality.
I mean, hundreds went to his funeral. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
I mean,
and I started the conversation with this. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And when you hear, oh yeah, that makes sense. I saw a T-shirt that I thought was even better. It said, "When life gives you lemons, at least you don't have scurvy," which I thought was hilarious. And maybe that's a better quote, right?
Yeah, I like it.
But when things happen, Are they universally bad? Are they universally good? Is it true that God can take suffering and not waste a drop of it? Oh, that's a really good question because there are many people who suffer a lot. And so I don't want to be, Mr. Rose colored glasses in that. But I tell you what, though, what came out of his suffering and your loss is astonishing. So, how did you start Owen's Outfitters after your son passed?
Yeah, so Owen was born over in Wisconsin, and so the real start was that there's this great group over there, and Katy's Closet. They're fantastic. We were borrowing medical equipment that Owen needed while we were over there, and so we came to Sioux Falls. We moved to be closer to family, and we sort of had this idea like, hey, there's definitely going to be a medical equipment library in Sioux Falls. They've
Yeah, we'll
got
just find a
Sanford.
local version of Katie's Closet. Obvious.
Yeah,
Of course, this will be here.
I mean, there's two hospitals, two big hospitals in a like a reasonably like a smaller city, right? Sioux Falls is, it's a city, but it's a smaller city.
And
For
there's
them to have,
two really big hospital units. And you pick up the phone and you say, "I'm looking for," and you describe, and you're assuming that they'll go, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're talking about blah blah blah,"
yeah,
and nothing like that exists. And you
no,
say, what? How could it
yes,
not exist? Hmm.
yeah, exactly. And so, we made it by, we got by help of family and friends and people who loved us, and we made it work. But then Owen passed about 5 years ago, just under 5 years ago now. And so, I mean, when Owen was here, he was our whole life. We were doing hours of medical care every day. And so it took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort. We didn't have spare moments to build some. And so we took time, we grieved as a family, and then we said we wanted to do something. We wanted to try and turn that into something that would ease the burden for other families. And
You think
so,
about the amount of time you were spending on taking care of him, and now you have all of that time, and you were serving a kid, and now what are you going to do? Play Parcheesi, and it's a chance for you to serve other kids. Interesting. So, how did you do that? Just sit around and say, "Hey, let's do a Katie's Closet," or what did you decide?
we did a couple things. One, the first one that actually happened was that there's a place called Give Kids the World. If you go on a Make a Wish trip, you don't, and you're going to Disney World, you don't actually stay at like a Disney resort. You stay at this incredible place where, like, there's not a stair in the whole place. It's literally built around the needs of children who are sick or have developmental delays or anything that they need, any sort of medical issue that they would have, they can take care of it. And so we actually take med students and physical therapy. We take a bunch of medically oriented students and we take them down there and they volunteer at Give Kids the World. So they see all these kids on Make a Wish trips and they help out. They see what the families go through. They learn so much. The one that always reminds me is that there was a doctor and he saw like a little 5-year-old boy. He was doing the medical care for his 12-year-old sister. And there was like, that is not what they teach you in the med books. That is not how medicine is usually delivered. But it changed their bedside manner. It showed them kind of what it's like to be in one of these families. Just a little window. And so it's helped them to be better healthcare professionals. And so that was the very first thing we did. But the big one that we were like, we're going to get there. We just need to, we need to figure it out was Owen's Outfitters. That was the big one. And basically, we just figured out that we could give away this medical equipment. Basically, like you said at the beginning, take medical equipment that people don't need anymore, right? Take that and everything. Take every single thing possible. Band-aids, gauze, wheelchairs, hospital beds, literally everything, and give it away to anyone in need. Literally anyone in need. Because I've got, out in my warehouse today, I've got 3 or 4 free hospital beds. And we serve hundreds of people. No one takes one unless they need one. No one wants a hospital bed in their guest room or their living room or just for fun. Hospital beds are there because they perform a really necessary, really important, vital resource.
Do I,
Uh,
and I, a guy just comes in and says, "Yeah, I'll take a hospital bed, 2 wheelchairs, and a bunch of these whatevers." And you say,
yeah.
"Okay, all right,
It,
see
yep.
you later, Biff. All right,
Yeah, that's it.
no
Yeah.
paperwork."
2 minutes of paperwork, a little bit of paperwork. Name, address, email, phone number, and 6
Do you
demographic
have an
questions.
insurance card we can take it? You don't need any
No.
of that. Wow, that's astonishing.
No approval, no lengthy process. It's
I'm a
basically,
miserly billionaire and I don't want to
yep,
buy a hospital bed. And you say, "Here you go, miserly billionaire," right?
sure. Yeah, we haven't gotten any of those in yet.
That you're
Bill-
aware of, right?
that we're aware of. I mean, there's not that many billionaires in the area,
I
and they
might be
haven't come
using
in.
I might be hyperbolizing there a little bit, but so I just think that is so refreshing because you like to have a certain, maybe you like to screw things down a little bit, but every time you do that, you add levels of complexity that, kind of bog the system down. How big is this outfitter's place? I mean, I'm thinking about all of the, how big is your warehouse?
10,000 square feet. Uh, and it's getting full.
So that's a
We're
thousand.
moving some stuff.
Okay, that's 100 by a thousand. How big is that? Is that like 1,000 square feet? That's 250 by 250. Is that right? I'm going
It's
to do the math.
like it's something like 190 feet long, and so I don't know, 40 or something feet wide.
Wow, wow,
No, it must
wow.
be bigger. I
Is
don't
it is it
remember.
is it is it stacked to? I mean,
Yeah,
it's 52 feet wide and 190 feet long. Okay,
that
in my
sounds about
mind.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Nice. So, it can't be just you.
No, I have a ton of fantastic volunteers. It's me and a warehouse manager. We're the folks that are sort of day-to-day operations, but then it's also a ton of volunteers. Our volunteers are incredible. Um, there's too many of them to name, but they come in every day and help. I think the thing that they've loved is that they never have to come in, and sort of what you were alluding to. They never have to. Someone's not like, "Hey, can we see your insurance card? Could you bring 2 proofs of ID? I need your address, and then I also need to know how much you earn. So if you could bring 2 bank statements and your insurance card and all these other items." They don't have to do that. They don't have to turn some away and have, they're not making a decision like, oh, who needs a wheelchair more? Someone who's older, or, like this 5-year-old kid. Just yes to everybody. They're not having to decide who's worthy of a piece of equipment or who's worthy of help.
I imagine
Everyone.
some of the volunteers have to take incoming stuff, right? So a guy wheels in. I got
Hmm.
a hospital bed, a wheelchair, and a bunch of these, whatevers, right?
Yeah.
Who checks
Big
all that in?
the volunteers, again, they're doing great stuff. And the other thing is that it's not rocket science. It's not something that requires years of training. They come in, someone's had a wheelchair in their garage for the last 6 months, and so it's got some leaves and some cobwebs and some dirt. It doesn't look great, but then with a little disinfectant, a little bit of elbow grease, some just good old soap and water, all of a sudden that wheelchair is looking clean and almost brand new. And anyone can wipe down and sanitize a wheelchair. It's easy. It's a simple thing that everyone can help out with. So again, instead of something sort of complicated or difficult, it's just straightforward. But it also changes a lot. I think that's part of the fun, is that in a day we'll get 2 hospital beds and then an electric wheelchair and then a brand new piece of medical equipment that folks have never seen before. And just the variety that's out there also means they're not just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's 1,000 different pieces of medical equipment, and everyone's different.
About that piece of equipment you see in movies, beep 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 beep, beep, the super complex thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you have that, whatever that is, the
Bedside
monitor,
oximeter. Yeah.
the bedside oximeter,
Yes, and some of them will
the
include a pulse
BSO. I
ox.
think you mean the
Yeah.
BSO, the bedside oximeter, right?
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
you
get those
actually
in.
have, so some of these things, I mean, doesn't a tech have to make sure that they're all running and stuff? I guess that's also part of the process, right?
Yeah, so with a lot of this stuff, it's basically, turn it on and double check that it's working. CPAPs are a really good example. We can turn on a CPAP, we can clean it. There's all these standards to make sure that a CPAP is cleaned the way it needs to be. But then we tell them, like, hey, we're not medical professionals. Take this to your doctor. They'll tell you that it needs to have, setting A, B, C, and D, and this is how it needs to be set up for you. And so we don't sort of cross that line into medical advice, but we go, we haven't had a single doctor, not one in 3 years, that's been like, oh, my patient got a free CPAP. I'm not willing to set it for them. Every time the doctors, like, you see that, like, you can sort of see them. Sometimes they're contained by, like, their system, that they can't just give them away for free. But if someone comes in with one and they're back to just being a doctor helping someone, and they get to just be like, oh, great, you've got one. Yeah, here's what you need. It's
This is
cool.
why I got into the business.
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah, exactly.
So I saw some of your volunteers. I didn't hear all their stories, but I've known people in this world, and it looks like this. I cared for my wife for 15 years, and now she's gone, and there's a hole in my life. But now I can take her stuff, pass it on to somebody else's wife, and maybe I could put some time at that place just volunteering, because it feels like when I do that, I keep her memory alive. Is that am I right about that?
Yeah, we've got a few folks here who they've gone through their own medical journey, and there's been times where they've struggled, and there's been times where they've had to fill out an 8-page application, and or they've been denied and they couldn't get the thing that they needed, and or there was a financial component that they were struggling with, and for them to be able to come in and pay it forward to someone else, we've had people come in and just say, I couldn't throw this away. It would have felt like a betrayal. My husband, yeah,
Interesting.
that they had a loved one who used this piece of equipment, and it made such a difference for them that to just throw it away just feels wrong.
Like you're throwing them away.
Yeah, like, this is what helped grandpa or grandma walk, my aunt, my uncle recover from surgery. This was a part of their life, and it made it better. I want, like, throwing it away when I could make someone else's life better, when I can improve their recovery, it just feels wrong.
Give me some secret sauce. I mean, you're in the business, sort of. I mean, you're not in the business, but you're in the business. You see behind a lot of curtains. So just if give me a pointer, give me a rule of thumb, give me a little something you didn't know that would help the average Joe on the street about the system. Go.
Yeah. For us, it all boils down to simplicity. That, a lot of organizations, and not just nonprofits and not just businesses, everybody, they sometimes make rules, right? They say, like, well, hey, we really need to have your driver's license number. And we're here going, like, why do you need their driver's license number? And I was like, well, that's our unique number. That's how we track them. I'm like, well, we'll just give them a made up number. And then I'm not on the hook for cybersecurity, keeping track of someone's social security number. I'm not keeping track of their driver's license. If you don't need to do something to fulfill your mission, why are you doing it? If it's not for us, if it's not going to make me faster, better, give away more medical equipment, make people's lives easier, quicker, if it's not going to do one of those things, then we'd be hard pressed to say, like, hey, we should really consider doing that.
Why would you need to know a guy specifically and give him a number? I mean, if it's giving it away and you give it to anybody, does it matter, or is this just that way he doesn't have to fill out 2 minutes of paperwork each time? I mean, like, is that basically it?
Nail on the head. You got it. And so that 2 minutes of paperwork, what it does is put the person in our system. And so when we were talking about giving away $4.4 million worth of medical equipment, I could jump into my system, and I think we've given away about 159 hospital beds. It might be 162 by now, but I could go back and look at every single one that we've given one away to, and every walker and every wheelchair and all of this equipment. And what that boils down to for us is accountability. We want to show, like, hey, we are real people giving away real medical equipment to families in need. And the way we can show that is by going back and being able to track all of this data. I don't think 2 minutes is too much of a burden to be able to show everything that we do on a day-to-day basis.
You
And so
talk to
you,
a mechanic and he'll say, listen, if you want a car that works, they're going to tell you the car that's got so you got like a wheelchair or a hospital bed or something like, or a walker, and these babies are indestructible. You see them all. And then these babies come in, they break down. I mean, what do you like? Is there a model number that makes you go, whoo, or you say, stay away from this one? People are out shopping sometimes, right?
uh, I think we just get excited about the products that are coming in the door where we know people are waiting for them. We frequently run out of knee scooters, and if you
Interesting.
yeah, if you told me 5 years ago, like, hey, Mike, one day what you're going to be excited about is you're going to get a whole bunch of extra large Depends and two knee scooters, and you're going to be thrilled. And this goes beyond me now. Like yesterday, like I'm not exaggerating. Yesterday we got in a knee scooter, and one of my volunteers was like, "Oh, we just had someone who needs one. We're gonna call them right back. We're gonna get them over here and help them out." And so it's like this infectious thing. I was like, oh man, that piece of
And,
medical
and
equipment.
and the knee scooter, that's taken over for crutches, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess turns out nobody likes crutches, but knee scooters are cooler. Is that right?
Yeah. I think the illustration for that is that we had a young man come in. He had busted up his ankle, and the reason he needed a knee scooter is that he was so slow on crutches. He was tardy to every class. High schools are so big that for him to get to one end of the building to the other end of the building and get there on time, he was just tardy for every single class. And so they borrowed a knee scooter, and they came back and told us, like, he had to slow down in the hallways. The teachers were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're going too quick on like this little go kart down the hallway." And so, but it made his life like he went from being late to every class to both taking care of himself, but feeling good about it.
I
It was
wonder,
fun.
do they make electric knee scooters? I've seen some electric scooters. I
A
wonder if
lot
the
of
next
ooh, I haven't seen one yet. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's the invention, right?
I
That's what
think
we're gonna
that might
build.
make no, I think that might cause more need for more knee scooters if we overdo that. Extra large depends. I guess that's when you get if you have somebody with toddlers, they never go wrong with pull-ups or diapers, right? Same thing, right? Depends. We're all basically little children just waiting for our next phase, up or down. So extra large depends also. Okay. Eh,
Well, so the reason that we move so much of those adult incontinence items, like so many, and I think it illustrates, like, on the low end of the scale when people are talking about things like toothpaste, mouthwash, toothbrushes. On that end of the scale, we had this incredibly kind old lady come in, and she wanted to borrow some. She wanted to get some of this equipment, right? And she needed it so badly because she literally ran out of money every month. She got out her checkbook, and she wasn't trying to make a donation. She just wanted me to see what her life was like. And so right in her checkbook, $1,582. That's what she got from Social Security each month. And then the next line down was $875 for rent. And so I don't know how you make it through a whole month on that. And the truth was, she wasn't. She was having to stay at home because she couldn't afford some of that stuff to keep her safe out in public. And so, you know, all of these folks who are on fixed incomes, when they need that, it's not a matter of convenience, it's a matter of living. And so, yeah, there's a lot of folks out
So
there.
I have people come up to you and said, "All right, we're going to make this national. Let's go, buddy. What are we going to do? This is our first one. Where are you off to next?" I mean, is that part of the conversation?
Yeah. The idea is to do a whole bunch of these. Well, the idea, if you talk to me, I want to have one in every state before I die. My wife is like, well, we'll see if you get to two. She's a lot more grounded than I am. But Rapid City and Rochester, Minnesota, over by Mayo Clinic, those would be the next big targets.
Is anybody from around the country saying, well, are you known nationally? Because we have two hospital systems that are fairly regional sized and they get around and people move. I mean, a doctor who's working in Sioux Falls gets transferred to Atlanta back and forth. Are you getting action from other parts of the country where people are asking about this?
Yeah, we have had folks come from all over the place to get stuff, especially if they're traveling through town. But then because of the internet and because of like Chat GPT and Claude and everything else, occasionally we get things where someone we almost never ship. I've shipped like 4 things total. Shipping is just not something we have capacity for. But I've shipped, one of those devices where when you've had a
Yeah, you can talk like this. That
yes,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, I
Kids don't
shipped
smoke. Smoking is terrible. Right. That's the
yeah
one. Yeah. Ugh.
I shipped one to Maryland, and I had to ask him like, "There's nowhere between Maryland and here, Sioux Falls." Like, you found Sioux Falls, on the map is like that's where I want to get my medical equipment. He's like, honestly, I've called so many places, and what happened is that
Now, I don't want to make this sound, I'm sure it's way more complex than this, but isn't it just like you hang out your shingle and said, bring your extras here and then we'll give it away? And then it kind of grows. I mean, I'm sure you weren't in that enormous warehouse at first. I mean, I guess literally, if you wanted to and God felt you was calling to you, any place in any town of any size, you could kind of do this. Am I right?
yeah, it's
There's
you can
no
do it anywhere.
the hospitals don't care, right?
The hospitals are actually incredibly supportive. Sanford and
Why,
Barris send
why
folks
is
over all
that
the time.
exactly? Why are they so supportive?
Uh, every day they have folks who can't afford medical equipment. Their insurance says this is what we're paying for. And so they have folks who maybe come into the ER or they have a surgery and the surgery is covered, but the durable medical equipment isn't. And so they're watching all of these folks who they want to help, but they have constraints, right? They can't give away every single person thing to every single person who comes in the door. And so we're over here being like, well, hey, someone had surgery and they can't afford their knee brace, send them over. And so they're like, oh, great. Yeah, and it works for them. It actually works for everybody. It doesn't matter if you have insurance or the whole hospital pays for it. If we buy a new knee brace, someone's paying for that knee brace, either us or the hospitals or insurance, but ultimately it's just everyone. And so for them to be able to send them over here and be like, hey, they've got this piece of medical equipment. It's perfectly good. It's free. Please go get it. That makes their patient happier, healthier. It gives them a better
Yeah,
life.
so you're an ER doc and a homeless person comes in and they wreck their knee. Says,
Yep.
okay, I got you sewed up. You should probably get a knee brace. And the guy looks at you and goes like, okay, yeah, sure. Sure I am. That's not going to happen. And you know it's not going to happen. But now the doc can say, have you heard of Owen's Outfitters? And he says, no. And he looked over there and they probably got some. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
So
they're sending people
now,
over in lifts.
no drugs though, right? No, you can't do any medications, right? I'm assuming.
No, that requires a pharmacist. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But, a lot of this stuff is, you can go on Amazon and buy a wheelchair and you can go buy a commode and you can buy a toilet riser and you can buy a hospital bed. You can buy a lot of this equipment just anywhere. But to be able to touch it and feel it, know that when you sit in it, that it's going to be the right fit for you is a big deal. And also just, to make sure that you're going to be able to take it home today and take care of your loved one.
So are you serious about expanding this? And part of me says, yeah, because I'm that same guy. Well, you should expand. How tough can it be? You schedule something at one of the hospitals, you talk for 20 minutes, you pick a guy out of the audience and say, let's do it, right? It sounds now I should ask, everybody's volunteering for this. Are you getting paid?
Yeah. Myself and our director, our warehouse manager, are the only two paid employees. So we got two. It's a full-time job. I'm only here 6 or 7 days a week.
Yes.
If we were in a spot to let me do it for free, I would. But we're just not that well off. Got to work for it. Got to have it as a job.
What's the best piece of advice you ever got in this world, or maybe just in life?
Oh man, just in general, get your wife a surprise present on your wedding day. Surprise her with something that she was not expecting. Completely unrelated, but
that's good advice. I think every husband's taking a note here. Okay, I knew a guy. At the beginning of the year, he would pick 4 random dates on a calendar, just random dates. He'd call a florist and say, deliver flowers on these dates. And he'd set it up at the beginning of the year. And then because he was a guy, he'd forget all about it. Then he'd walk in the house on like April 30th. Oh, honey. And he'd go, what? Oh, there's a flower. I thought, now, that's genius. But if his wife ever finds out, it's not genius. So I don't know. So hopefully only husbands are watching this video. And if there's certain woman is watching this, she's going, wait a minute. And then I've blown the secret, haven't you?
She's figured me out a long time ago. Yeah.
If you had a choice between mastering a language or an instrument, what would be the language or the instrument? And I mean, you're just amazing at it.
I mean, my family always makes fun of me because I'm always practical. I was like, who would care about being able to play an instrument? It would be fun, sure. So I'm immediately like Spanish, because we have a lot of folks come in who speak Spanish and I want to do a better job of helping them. And so it's practical and it's good. And all my kids are like, but Dad, that's just boring. That's just making you better at work. Who wants to be better at work? But I'm like, me, I just want to do this.
Yeah, I'm better. Not good at languages. I'm with you. I think part of me says Mandarin. Part of me says some Swahili, something that nobody would see coming. So that when these people from wherever and I start just laying down with perfect diction and slang terms, just for the amusement of their facial expression, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if we're stepping away from practicality for a second, we're just like, what would you actually do? Spanish, 100%. But what would I like to do? Oh man, just to be able to play, I think the bass guitar. There's so many good, funky riffs. And I feel like so many of them are recognizable. If you could just lay down that chord a little bit, immediately everyone's like, oh, I know that one. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
And with that, of course, means you'd have the stance. You'd have the dark glasses, always dark glasses.
Always. And always
a somber look and just kind of.
Yep.
It's too cool for school. I mean, people go, wow, that guy's a bass player. And you just kind of nod.
Far cooler than I am now.
You play bass? You know, just kind of nod. You like to read? Do you read books at all?
Yeah, I read a lot.
Favorite fiction? But who do you like in fiction?
Almost anything. It's all sci-fi. Sci-fi. I've read everything. Dune, Hyperion, Dungeon Crawler, Carl, Good Omens, Terry Pratchett.
Any old school, any Ray Bradbury stuff? You go back that far?
Yeah, I grew up probably earlier than I should have reading Stephen King, which isn't quite sci-fi, but it's definitely kind of in that fantasy realm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He can take you to some interesting places. There's no doubt about that. How about nonfiction? You got a good book that you've read recently that you like or not?
Basically, textbooks for school. If I'm not reading for fun, then I'm sort of like, all right, then it's, your business books.
I know people who don't read simply because they equate reading with work. And they just don't do it because anytime they read, it's like some sort of tech manual or something.
Yeah.
So the next step for Owen's Outfitters is, I don't know. Do you have a next step? You just live day by day? Are you a kind of up and the chart goes up and to the right? What are you trying to do here?
Yeah, we very much have a plan. The process is getting refined almost constantly. We started out of our house and we moved into the nonprofit center, which is like 1,000 square foot office, and then we grew out of that.
Okay,
And
you started in your house,
yep,
which means the garage, maybe.
I don't have a garage. My
You
house
had a
is so
basement,
old. Yeah.
which is
Uh-huh.
kind of weird. Bing bong. Yeah. Is this Owen's? Yeah, yeah. What do you need?
Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
Get it out of the basement. Okay, so it was in your basement, literally.
And
Then you
then
moved
very,
to what?
very quickly to the nonprofit center, the old nonprofit center where Delta Dental, Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation was there for a
How many
while.
square feet is in that joint?
Oh gosh, the whole building,
No, no, just for the part that you had. Or
a
did you
thousand, one
1,000
thousand
square feet
of office.
of? Okay.
Very much a like
And
your
then
standard one. You go in and there's 20 different businesses in a little office area, and we're one of them.
and
Yeah.
then and then you moved to where you're at now.
Yes. And
And did
so
somebody just say, "Here's a building"? How'd that happen?
so we were growing. Like we've done great. Nothing, no challenge has really lasted more than a few months because yeah, we started off our first month in that building over there. We served 12 customers. Last month we served 939. For a while it was not having any money at all. And then we got a little bit because people liked what we were doing. And then it was getting equipment in, and then it was volunteers, and then it was not enough space. Then it was volunteers again, and then it was now we have too much equipment. How do we get more of this out of here? And so it's been a different challenge all the time. The ones ahead of us are, hey, we need to get a computer system that's a little bit more efficient. We have to have customers filling out their own, like get a little point of sale system. So people come in, they can just tap in their own instead of doing paper. It's barcoding and all those things where you've gone from sort of a mom and pop shop down to a, not a Walmart, but, a more professional business. And so we're
You
growing their
know,
way.
I do speaking on stories and the power of stories and the heart of a story. Everybody's a story. Every business has a story. And what you're trying to find in a business story, especially, is the heart. What's the heart of your business? Well, there's a lot of businesses who would say, service, or they would like to say that they care. And I'll just say the Gould Bank. Okay, obviously the Gould Bank doesn't exist, but let's say the Gould Bank exists. And the Gould Bank has to meet, various structures of the, FCC and all the other stuff, right? All the SCC, all these alphabetical systems. And here is what I would say. At Gould Bank, we care. We are the supporting sponsor of Owen's Outfitters, a nationwide group where we connect people who need medical supplies regardless of income or cost. Woo! I mean, at Gould Bank, we have a certain amount of money that we use for promotions and feel good stuff in the community. I would just write a check, right? I mean, has a corporation come up to you and said, "Do you need to take this globally or nationally or statewide?" I would think they would be.
We've done a great job with local sponsors. Poet, Salmon's Financial, Market Beat, and they've helped us out. They've done a tremendous amount. When you asked how did we grow, how did we get here, they're a big part of that. United Way is a huge portion of that.
Okay, all right.
But when folks are talking about writing maybe a multi-million-dollar check, something that would be able to take you to a completely different playing field, they want to see you. They want to be like, hey, we've seen too many times where someone's gotten burned and it hasn't lasted or it hasn't worked out or the folks cashed out and moved to the Bahamas. And so, we need to show a little bit. Like that's part of why we do our numbers the way we do. We want people to see exactly what we're doing.
You don't think there's enough proof of concept for them to go with it? I'm just asking the question.
We'll get there. We'll get there
Yeah.
someday. Someday, I have to believe that someone's going to believe in this as much as we do. I just got to find the right person.
Well, there's a million ways you can spend money to promote your business. And, stadiums. People spend millions of dollars to have the name put on the stadium. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, that's fine. But it's just the name on a stadium. I mean, if you had something that could actually move the needle, if you have $70 billion of medical waste, how many millions of people would support that? Meaning that they would either take advantage of it, donate to it, or say, that's a good deal they're doing there. I think it's big. I think it's really big. Hey, you know what? I hope somebody's watching this show, and I hope they own Gould Bank or the version thereof, or Amalgamated Chemical Industrial Supply Warehouses Incorporated, whatever it is. I hope that they're getting on the phone right now and saying, yeah, well, get this guy's. Hey, we're going to put your contact information on the comments down below. There's probably something I haven't covered yet. My job is to make your life easier. I don't want to take an hour out of your life just to amuse myself. My job is to make this hour effective for you, Mike. What else do I need to ask you to help you?
You've actually hit it. You've knocked it out of the park. I think part of it is.
I'm sorry, say that again. My microphone wasn't working. What did you say?
I said my wife is always right, and I should listen to her more often.
Well played. Well played. All right. All right.
No, it's when folks come and visit us. I always start with, again, people donate it, we give it away. That little 2-sentence spiel is most of what you need to know about us. And so what it is if folks want to see some good done, just take that thing that you've got. You've got a knee scooter, you've got a knee brace, you've got a back brace, you've got maybe a diabetic supplies, and you switch suppliers. And you're like, well, I'm just going to throw away these old Dexcoms, and I'm just going to throw away this old thing. Just bring it down here, and I guarantee you are going to make someone's life better. All these places where we've got used clothes, used furniture, used everything, just think of medical equipment that same way. If you've got something extra, just bring it over here, and you are going to make someone's day. Starting with ours. Like, we're going to get ridiculously excited about the thing you bring in.
A knee scooter!
And then you're going to make someone else's life better. They're going to...
A knee scooter!
Yeah, the second time. Yeah, exactly.
And the great news is that when you're done with the knee scooter, you're going to be happy to get rid of it anyway. Here's the knee scooter.
Who wants this stuff sitting around your house?
Right.
The number of times where we clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Well played. Okay. All right.
And if you've got those extra gold bars laying around the house, I'll give those a home too. I
do have a box of pennies.
Ooh.
That I don't think anybody's taken them anymore, but these are wheat pennies. So they might be copper enough that you could maybe turn those around.
Yeah. Coin collection.
We're getting down to the end of it here, because now it's time for you to ask your question. Beginning of the program, I said you can ask any one question. You tried to sneak it in. I threw you one, didn't I? You're going to be the first interview I've had that there were 2 questions I've answered. The first is, I would choose to have lunch with Captain America.
Yep.
And maybe he could just give me some,
good war story,
patriotic advice, and feel good about my life. Okay, but your question is for me. What's your one question?
I think it's really telling. I ask a lot of folks this. It kind of shows if they like adventure and something, or if they like creature comforts. If you could have a 2-week vacation anywhere on Earth, anywhere you want to go, you mentioned China, you want to go there and eat the best Chinese food, fantastic. You choose the vacation, you can do it. Or you can do one of those things that almost no one gets to do, and you can go to the ISS, be in space for 2 weeks. But, you got to get there. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be, using the space toilet and not showering. I don't think do they shower on the ISS? But what would you choose? Like the best vacation?
The International Space Station.
Yeah.
Or a swanky world vacation.
Anywhere you want to go. Best vacation you've ever had. Eat the food you've dreamed of. Or space food.
When I was a kid, NASA was huge. They landed on the moon on my birthday, and I
Pretty cool.
remember it. Yeah, it was very cool, and everybody liked NASA. And Tang was a breakfast drink that is terrible. It's terrible. It's inferior to orange juice in every way, except one thing: the astronauts drank it. So I was enamored with Tang. And in space, they would extrude food like through a toothpaste tube into their mouth. It was paste. And they did a deal on the evening news where they were suggesting they could give this to people in nursing homes. My mother was disgusted at that idea, but as a little kid, I thought, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Who wants to chew their food?
I've now morphed onto my mother's side, and this is what I'm going to say. I think a day on the space station would be cool and enough. Oh, here's weightlessness. Oh, there's the world. It's gorgeous. It's really beautiful. Great. Well, here's the space toilet. Interesting. Here's weightlessness. Queasy. Can I go down now? I would trade that for, and I've always thought about this. It's a 2-week tour. I heard about this. You go to France and they've got this canal system like spokes on a wheel that goes out through the countryside. You land on one of the coastal areas and the barge goes about 12 miles an hour quietly through the countryside. You have a chef on board who's cooking delicious. He gets off and takes the local cuisine, buys it that day, and makes food for you and your small group of about 10. And it ends finally in Paris, where you eat something under the Eiffel Tower. And as epic as the International Space Station is, I'm going to get more memories out of that canal trip. So sorry if that makes me a couch potato. I'm enjoying every delicious bite, my friend. I can't say the same about the cuisine I'll be eating on the ISS. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Have I changed your mind? Because you still are going to go for the ISS, aren't you?
I go back and forth. I am like
2 weeks is a heavy pull.
It's pretty polarizing though, because people are usually like, well, no one can do this. I've got to do the thing that's like so crazy and insane that only like 100 people have been on the ISS, maybe. Like that's the draw. Is like you can never do this again.
Yeah, except that only 100 people took that submarine way, way, way down to see the Titanic, right?
Yeah,
that was the same thing. It was be a rare, super rare thing, and we know how that ended.
Yeah.
So, and it was cramped and claustrophobic, but it was cool. But you were seeing things that never seen, and then all of a sudden there's nothing.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. I'm like on Team Earth vacation. Go to
Team
Tuscany.
Earth vacation.
Yes. Yeah. Go to Tuscany and eat pasta from someone who's, it's their grandma. And they've been making this pasta the same way for 1,000 years. I'm like, yeah, that's the pasta I want to eat.
If there's trouble with the transportation, the barge coasts to the side where they talk to some guy named Pierre who fixes it, right? If there's trouble with the transportation on the ISS, that's a different level of concern.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed every minute of this, Mike. You're a good man to talk to. I've enjoyed it. I'm glad you're in the
Likewise.
world. I can't, many people go through things that nobody else experiences. And in that way, life really isn't fair. It really is random. Some people win the lottery in a good way. Some people win the lottery in a bad way. But how you reframe that into something like this is not just good for you. It's instructive to anybody who has gone through what they would call a bad thing. And I just, more than anything else, I just really wanted to call that out and share that with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm Jeff Gould, America's Storyteller, with Mike Turner, the man who's saving the world one piece of medical equipment at a time. We'll talk to you later. God bless.
Thank you.